I'll say.
The closest you've been to anybody for a long time.
This week, how far you? My week off.
Is it your week? Is it your mandatory week off?
Yep. We do every other, so my week not to be there.
How much longer are you gonna go this route?
I don't know. It's totally up to Mary. I have no idea. I just kind of wing it. That's how she does. So I'm usually not a winger. So it's been an experience for me, trust me.
You came in our conversation about the city truck.
Yeah.
So we sent to Mary that we wanted a quote for 3 or 4 years. We haven't heard back from that.
Have you followed up with her?
We just talked to her, what, last week?
Okay, I was gonna
So-
say because you have to stay on her. Is that already started? Video already started?
Yeah. So
Okay.
my,
I would
rec-
just follow up with her then.
my recommendation is that we go with the 3 year. It's going to be cheaper in the long run. So, and we couldn't go through the dealership because we're parceling.
They're not doing the whole project.
Yeah.
I see.
So we're doing Hawkeye for the dump bed and all that. So,
Gotcha.
and it is not on as a business item, so I'll bring it up during public works.
Okay.
It's nothing we have to vote on, but
No, we approved it already, so best rates. Awesome.
it's a short week.
Good. I made homemade manicotti at home.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
And homemade meatballs, and my family is all enjoying them without me.
Well, we're gonna go well with you, and I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We should have just moved it to my house. This is what I do when I don't have work to do, because I'm
You cook.
bored. Yeah, I also ironed all the clothes in my closet.
Oh my lord.
I know. Including my jeans.
Oh, yeah.
I am ready for whatever needs to happen.
Oh, my.
Can I bring some of mine over for you to iron?
It's too much time when you have 9 days off. Every other 9 days off, 5 on. There's only so much cleaning you can do at your house.
The town's cleanest house.
I've always had the town's cleanest house, but now it's really bad. It's like when I stayed home with my kids. About to the bleaching the walls stage again.
Lord.
I know.
Well, I need some painting, though. Do you paint?
I love to paint. Is it inside though? Because I will
Yes.
not do outside. Call me in the fall if you want your house painted outside.
My outside's got siding.
Oh, there you
Just a
go.
little wood trim that I shouldn't have had on, but I did.
I like to paint.
Now it's time
Easy,
after
easy.
14 years we've been in the house and we haven't done anything that's original paint.
Holy moly.
It's time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we get into what color? And
White.
then the Cardinals go
White's
white.
always a good color.
I said, well, that's where we are.
Yeah.
Kind of cream.
Yep, a
off-white.
little off-white. You don't want it too bright.
No.
You want it to be just
But then
slightly
the
different than
carpet
the
will need to
standard.
happen.
See, I do my kitchen every like 2 to 3 years.
Oh, gosh.
Do you guys have Verizon?
No.
Yeah, I think I do.
I've been having the worst luck with them the past couple months. First they had a tower that went down, and so
I knew their tower was down.
the whole town of Maxwell was without any
Cell service.
cell service.
Yeah. I knew that because I went into Logston's that day. They didn't, them, Toots, Becky, none of them could use their card readers.
Mm.
Yeah.
And now things are getting pretty spotty again. Looks like. supposed to have over 60 vendors.
I bet she had like 100.
I'll make a phone call real quick. I'll be right back.
What, 40 something was recommended so far?
Okay. For some reason I was thinking somebody told me there was like 100 vendors down there. Maybe they were exaggerating.
Yesterday wasn't quite as big.
No, I think that was due to the holiday.
Oh,
Holiday,
sure,
Lots
yeah.
of people gone.
Yeah. Vendor wise, you mean, or actual crowd wise?
Vendor-wise.
Okay.
It was about the same, I think.
They could have been, I mean, maybe there were like 4th of July celebrations where they had to be
Yeah.
like set up.
Were there less people in the parking lot, you know? The bank parking lot?
I did not get out to see that. I don't know.
At
And
1
I
o'clock,
wasn't
there
there
was
this
nobody
morning,
in it.
so I don't know.
Nobody in it
At 1 o'clock, we walked by.
Good.
There's nobody.
They were filling up our garbage can.
Were they really?
Yeah. We were having, I had a, well, and then I forgot that we don't even go through the city. We have our can individually. But I called Dee and I'm like, see if they're using our garbage can. And you know, we wouldn't mind, but then we can't fit all of our garbage because we keep it till the like night
day
before.
before,
Yeah. So, and then she didn't pick up, we had like 2 bags that wouldn't fit because of it. And so we set them right next to the garbage can, right next to the road, and they didn't pick them up. And I'm like, seriously? Come on.
Bring them out, throw it in line.
If Pat still ran it, it would have been picked up.
Now, we may be looking at a new company, right?
Yeah.
Move on.
We have to start looking at that, I think, in November. Garbage guys, I think is probably gonna be our best bet.
Is that the one?
But Cambridge has 2 different.
Well, and I think garbage guys can probably get a pretty good discount. The Oak City dumped them.
Oh, so
I'm not
they're
intending.
Uh-huh.
They dumped them because they wanted to go with AK sanitation. And it was no fault to the garbage guys at all. But the garbage guys were told that, yeah, you guys will be fine, we're gonna use both of you, whatever. They came into the city house and said, yeah.
Wow.
So did you hear about that?
Which one?
Oak City dumping garbage guys for no apparent reason?
Yeah, all I saw was the Facebook post. I didn't see a reason why. They were told they were gonna allow multiple
Yeah.
companies in, and then they changed their mind.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
It's a normal meeting. Yep.
Okay, so I have to mark something. Yeah, I've got issues.
Airport has.
Okay.
I'm very organized. I'm very.
It starts at 6:30. We'll probably get to you around 6:45.
I'm a clean freak.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Bye. Well, Steve doesn't show up, we have a forum.
I bet he shows up.
Let's show up.
1 minute.
Maybe it was homie manicotti night at his
Yeah,
house.
it could be.
You seriously don't know manicotti? It's like the giant
Spaghetti,
shells
isn't
that you
Like
stuff.
duck shell?
Only, but they're not, they don't look like seashells. They look
Oh,
like
they're
long
round.
tubes.
Oh,
They're raised.
okay. That learning something new.
6 people watching it.
Shelby's running late, he just said he is.
He said he'd be here about 6:45.
Do we have an ordinance on fireworks? Do you know?
We go with the state.
Okay.
We did have one. Here's the problem, if we put in an ordinance, and I think the sheriff's office, it's not their top priority. So even if we put an ordinance, we can do, unless, I don't know if I can cite those.
I don't know.
No.
I think,
Just parking.
one of my complaints was that they were using the city roads. I don't know how damaging that is or not damaging, but I don't believe they should be using any city property whatsoever.
No, they can't
I
use
think it-
public cover.
It
property.
has to be, it contained to their own yard. And then the other one, which was my own personal, we had somebody in our neighborhood that was still doing them at midnight. And I thought it was 11 o'clock, or is it 11 o'clock on the weekend?
11 o'clock anytime.
It is 11 o'clock
On the 4th
on the 4th,
or
otherwise
on the
it's like
weekend.
10.
Yeah, I think it's
10,
10 on the weekday, yeah.
but it's still good through July 8th.
Is it?
Yeah.
June 1st to July 8th.
So, but they can't buy them. Last day to buy them is July 5th.
Correct.
Is it the 5th? I thought it was the 4th.
You know, they run all the half price sales and dip.
I
Well,
suppose.
there were some on the 4th.
Were there?
There were some on the 4th, yeah.
Wes said that he would be getting on via teleconferencing too.
Okay. Hi, Steve.
There it is.
Good evening. How is everybody?
Good, how are you?
Yes, peachy. All right. We've got 6:32. I'll call the meeting to order. You ready, Deb?
Yep.
Starting with roll call. Steve,
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Megan.
Yep.
Doug.
Yes.
Ken. All right, item number 3, approval of agenda. You have the agenda in front of you. Are there any changes that need to be made at this point? Move to approve it. Moved by Doug,
Second?
second by Alex. Alex.
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
Doug.
Yes.
Ken.
That's Steve.
Or, sorry, Steve.
Yes,
The other Ken.
I only respond to my own video.
Okay. Moving on to item number 4, citizens forum. Any citizens on the line? I will wait a few seconds on YouTube in case anybody needs to type something in the comment section. Run a little delayed here. Yeah, one person that says, I have nothing, so. Anybody else have anything? All right. Moving on to item number 5, departmental reports. EMS will take place at around 6:45. So starting with the sheriff's report.
Might want that.
I said, I don't see it.
Looks like they're the only nature code we have this month is only patrol, so I don't see any outstanding stuff.
Oh,
Hi, Wes. Some background music there. So I'll pass that along. Doesn't look like there's anything outstanding on that. Any discussion while that's going around for sheriff's reports? Do we need to relay back?
I've had people complaining about kids ringing doorbells.
Ding dong ditchers, okay.
Really?
It's still a thing.
I didn't think so, but I guess so.
Ding dong, you run up, ring somebody's
I will
doorbell,
say-
run away.
And then run away.
We had a complaint at the school about a month ago that there were some kids ringing doorbells, stating that they were trying to raise money for some school activities.
There's 0 school activities going on right now, so
Oh my
there's kids
goodness.
Ringing the doorbell asking for money.
Please call the sheriff's department.
I
Anything
used
else?
to just ask to mow yards.
Yeah, right? I mean,
I don't know, you can come over. and
pick
find-
up sticks. I mean, I don't know. All kinds of yard work that needs done. I would have paid somebody to weed my flower beds today.
Anything else? Hearing none, we'll move on to the fire department.
From you, you have the July fire report. There were no accidents, no maintenance, no special events, no future plans, and the city doesn't need to do anything with them. Number of calls were 6 with 23 people.
Tony's got no notes, so we should be good on that. Anything for Tony? Perfect.
I'm going to move on to the library report.
Let's see. 174 books checked out, 119 movies, 103 people in attendance. 86 total bridges were checked out as well. They're currently open by appointment and curbside pickup. The current hours are 11 to 2 Mondays and 4 to 7 on Mondays as well. Wednesdays 4 to 7, Thursdays 4 to 7. They're continuing to clean and sanitize everything. The summer reading program has started as well. Total for 3 weeks is 70 children, 50 adults, and they're working on inventory. Upcoming events, it looks like they are wanting to expand by their employment hours and continuing to clean and sanitize as well.
Anything for the library?
Do they have any plans that we know of for reopening anytime soon?
No,
I have not heard anything.
No?
they added Wednesday in, but that was. Yeah, no.
I don't know. Have you heard, Deb, anything on your city clerk intraweb about libraries being open?
Otherwise, no. We'll just keep an eye out on that and next things on the, hopefully soon we'll open that back up. Shelby, we'll bring it back to you, back to the EMS side.
All right, so we had 7 calls in the month of June, 2 of which were disregards. One of the calls was actually to Cambridge EMS, so we went over and assisted them. Of the 7 calls, we went on 3 of them. The other 4 calls were during the middle of the day and no one was available. 5 personnel went on the calls. As of those 5, 3 were certified. Nothing else besides wash your hands. And,
Do you have any new members coming on or training?
we have, so next meeting we'll have Cole Nielsen, lives across the road from me. And he will be joining, he works for West Des Moines Fire full-time, but he works 24-hour shifts, so he works 24, off 48. 24, so he'll be home during the day. He has no kids, so it'll be good to have someone here in town. And then there's another person that I've reached out to. I'm just waiting on to hear back.
I'm assuming since he's on, did you say West Point?
Yeah,
I'm assuming he's also EMT.
he
certified.
is. So he is finishes the EMT on the 30th.
Okay.
Well, at the end of this month, he has to go through both of the testing of the written / knowledge test, and we have to actually do a physical test, and then he's done.
So once he's done, he will be
Full-fledged,
and probably our primary
one of them. Yeah.
during
Yep.
the day, and then Tony can drive still, I'm assuming. as well.
Yep.
Isn't he also our lieutenant fire chief?
He's a lieutenant.
He's a lieutenant, yeah.
Or lieutenant fire? whatever.
He's lieutenant, he's an officer of the fire department, yeah. Yep. Anything else?
Perfect.
Alrighty.
I needed-
Sounds good.
Did it feel good to assist Cambridge?
So it paged out. Unfortunately, I was headed to, I had my kids and we were headed down to Altoona for fireworks. And I looked and I am responding and saw Nancy and Bronco and I'm like, thank you. We have some haha. You're not the only ones that, or we're not the only ones that need help. So yeah, it was a very good feeling. Like I called to make sure that we had someone going. Yeah, we did. So yep, it was actually a pretty good feeling. Like, yeah, hey, look. We do come to your town. We actually got, Nancy and I think it was Brock, got all the way into Cambridge, and their department went en route, and we showed up on scene. They disregarded us on scene, but still, we showed up.
You're there.
We showed up. We went. So
We're the good guys.
yep. Cambridge has been called out of those. So out of those 7 calls. And the 4 that we were unable to go to, Cambridge got disregarded twice. So they only showed up and actually got disregarded on scene for 2 of them. So the only 2 that they didn't get disregarded was actually Mary Greeley, just because they travel distance from Mary Greeley to get in there. But they were there and then got disregarded. So they were not utilized per se, but we also went to them. So I call it a fair, even trade.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Yep, thank you.
Moving on to Public Works. Tony's got a list of streets to repair that was sent in, total around $35,000. He's getting started to get things ready for Old Settlers. He pumped 1.5 million gallons of water, sold 1.4 million gallons of water, almost 1.5 million gallons of water. And then sewer pumped 3.4 million gallons. Along with the Public Works, I've talked to most of you beforehand. We wanted to know the best option to finance the new truck. We have come to the conclusion that it's probably best to do the 3-year loan through the bank in town. The dealership will not do the loan because we're parceling pieces out. So like the snow blade and the dump bed are going through this Hawkeye truck or something like that. So that is the plan right now, unless you guys have any opposition to that. Any opposition? Okay. Moving on to item F, city clerk. Looks like there was a planning and zoning meeting that was held on June 16th. Newsletter is scheduled to go out July 30th, so I guess I need to get mayor's minutes out by then. Okay,
By the 20th.
by the 20th.
So if anybody has any ideas they want in the paper, let us know by the 20th.
And then City Hall open to the public July 1st. How are things going with that? Have you had anybody come in since last week?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though we have on the sign to drop it off in the box, they still come in and hand it to us.
And as you can see, the spit guards are up, and there is a gate. It's not a swinging gate, but we figured it's probably easier to go this route. It's a retractable rope, I would call it, like you would see at movie theaters and stuff. So.
But
He
plus
is
we
not
can move it.
over here yet.
No, I think we're going to keep her there for now. She doesn't have any issue. I talked to her a little bit, so we're going to, unless things change, I think we'll stay where we're at right now. Got the treasurer's report and the budget report in front of you. As
well. Look over that, see if there's some glaring issues with that. What's the 3370 in the cemetery total? That's negative.
Cemetery,
Yeah.
red. Which report?
The budget report.
He went over $33.70 in the budget. But we're fine because the whole culture and rep is
It's the
positive.
total. Okay. Perfect. Anybody have questions for Deb? For the city clerk report? Okay. Moving on to item 6, business. Item 6A is a tobacco license for Dollar General. You have that in front of you from the Iowa Department of Revenue. Looks pretty standard for that.
Move approval.
Moved by Steve,
I'll second.
second by Alex. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and give you roll call. Megan?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Item 6A passes. Moving on to item 6B, alcohol license for Old Settlers. This is for the Old Settlers Committee to sell beer at the beer tent.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Alex,
Second.
second by Megan. Discussion. Hearing none. Doug? Yes. Steve?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Megan?
Yep.
Item 6B passes. Item 6C, motion to authorize the mayor to sign the animal control contract for fiscal year 2020. We have that item as well. This is to contract out through Story County.
When we get charges from the, I move it first.
Okay. Moved by Doug,
Second.
second by Megan. Discussion.
I think we need to decide whether or not we're checking the checkbox on page 2 as part of the motion.
So the checkbox says, check and initial here if city prefers to be notified prior to animal control officer's response in non-emergency situations.
So, otherwise they just show up? Or what's the,
So otherwise, they just show up and we get a bill and we don't know about it.
I would suggest that we check that box there.
I agree.
That way we know we have control over it then.
And the 24-hour number would be Tony's cell number.
So, that sounds like a motion by Steve.
Well,
A little
if
more
that's
discussion.
part of the original motion,
There
that's
you go.
great.
You want to make that part of the fine? Okay. So
Now,
this
my
discussion.
Yeah. When we take an animal up there, could we bill that on through to the owner then if they come and reclaim that animal?
We haven't in the past.
No.
No.
Do other towns do that? Or should we, regardless of what other towns do?
So they charge us if we have to take the animals up there.
Yeah.
It's not getting pushed on.
Our ordinance, Deb, doesn't our ordinance state that there is a charge for a city charge for impounding. And since we cannot house it, we take it up there.
Yeah, depending on which. I think the first time we don't.
We have a first time, second time, third, and it's an increasing scale. And they were supposed to add that fee on so that if somebody's collecting the animal, they collect it, they have to pay the impound fee, the city impound fee. This contract does not state that. It probably should. And if they refuse to do that, then we may be looking for some other service.
Is there a recommendation of the council to have Story County add that onto this contract for approval?
Part of the original motion, I'm good with. Good with it?
Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna add to be able to pass along the,
Well, it would,
or the impound fee.
under consideration,
Yep.
there is, the city will pay Story County based on the following schedule, and we should add a clause after N that Story County will collect fees certified by the city, city fees certified by the city clerk.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll do roll call. Reminder, this is to approve the contract, adding underneath consideration that Story County will collect fees certified by the city clerk. Starting with Steve.
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
Doug.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 6D, resolution authorizing the filling of 657A.10B petition for ownership of property at 609 Main Street in Maxwell, Story County, Iowa.
If you remember last meeting, we went ahead and we started the acquisition process of 609 Main Street. This is that house sharing. Yeah.
Oh, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So moved.
Moved by Steve,
I'll second.
second by Alex. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll do roll call. Alex.
Yes.
Megan.
Yep.
Doug.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Moving on to item 6E, motion to approve new member to Board of Adjustment, Planning and Zoning. Looks like we had one, Tyler Dubay.
And he is actually on YouTube right now, so this may be a little bit longer of an item just because if he wants to say something.
Deb, whose term will he be taking, or is this a new vacancy?
New vacancy. This was
Okay,
Aaron.
because they're appointed for 5 years, and so it would be, he's not filling anyone's term. It would be 2020 through 2024, right? July 1 of 2020 through June 30th of 2025. June 30th. So I make a motion that Tyler Dubé be appointed to the Planning and Zoning / Board of Adjustment for the term July 1, 2020 through June 30th of 2025.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Doug. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll go with the vote. Megan,
Yes.
Doug.
Yep.
Steve,
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Passes. Welcome, Tyler, to planning and zoning.
Stepping stone to a political career.
That's right. All right. Item 6F, discussion and action on recommendations by planning and zoning board on impervious coverage and stormwater rates. You have
There's nothing in the packet.
Okay.
There was-
I'm finding that either.
Is it in the back of the packet?
There are minutes of the meeting
That's all I had.
where they ask that we take a look at it. What do you say, Deb?
That's all I had was the minutes. It was their recommendation that you're supposed to be talking about. What did I do with it?
I think what would be appropriate is for the city to set aside from its budget community development, economic development funds that we get for attending Story County Economic Development to hire a consultant to advise us on the proper ordinance language and ratios for impervious surface / what was it?
And stormwater rates.
Accessory building sizes and stormwater runoff. So that the concerns of too much stormwater runoff and the inability of our stormwater system to handle it can be properly studied and a recommendation made to council that could be implemented.
So I'm hearing a motion to hire someone out of our community development funds dollars to help with a land survey or whatever you call it to recommend to the council what we need to do in situations where this comes up. Correct?
It deals with them, ordinance, zoning ordinance that uses a open space ratio instead of what we've done, or a better approach, because it seems to be raising nothing but questions.
Okay.
Steve's got the motion on the floor. Is there a second?
And what we'd have to do is get a couple people to come in tell the board what they would want to do, select whichever proposal we want, based upon expertise, because it's not bidding. You can't bid professional services. We select the one that we want,
Okay.
that will do the job for us. So I suppose by next meeting, trying to get at least 2 people to come in and tell us how they would approach the problem.
So that's a motion by Steve. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Megan. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to roll call. Megan,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 6G, discussion on the direction the council wants to take on accessory building sizes. I think that last one pretty much
I think they
Covered both.
covered both.
covered both.
So, move on to 6H, appoint representatives to Story County Economic Development Group. I sent some emails out, last week to someone, to Doug, or to Steve, and then Megan and Doug.
So the one I got was a housing,
Was it?
not economic development.
Yours is housing too, then.
Okay.
I'm confusing both of them. Let's see where I'm at here.
Well, the council people whose committee includes economic development are Doug and Megan.
Okay.
So they would be the naturals. Can you do it, Doug? You're the chair of that committee.
I can.
Perfect.
Meeting you go
And do
to
they
now
ask
anyway.
for an alternate?
Yeah.
Megan, do you
The
want to?
meeting is generally at 10 o'clock in the morning, on Wednesday or Thursday? You remember, Doug?
It's the middle of the week. I can't remember which of the 2 days. Thursday, I think.
Okay. And it's once a quarter. So is that something that, you could get time off to do, or?
Probably not.
Depends on what week it is now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, right now, the last month or so, I could have probably been falling on the right week, but no, probably not once a quarter.
Well, I'm the only other retired person here, so, I would, be willing to be an alternate.
So we have Doug and Steve. Any discussion on that? I don't think we have to take a roll call though to appoint anybody for that. Okay. Moving on to item 6I, discussion and action on leasing 116 Metcalf.
And what is this?
That's the vacant lot, is that correct?
Yeah, it's a vacant lot. It was the FFA vacant lot down here by where Logsons used to live.
And they don't want it anymore, or?
They haven't done anything with it. And so Cammy McDonough was wanting to use it for a garden.
I'm impressed that you found this resolution.
Are you?
Yes.
I looked hard for that.
97, wow.
The, there is an authority that the previous councils did. I wouldn't use the language anymore today, that use of open space properties for residential purposes, because you can't build a building, on it. All you can do is use it as open space land. So that might be a little misleading, but the rental agreement looked fairly straightforward. It says you can't put any structures on it.
You said the FFA had been using it way back?
Well, they were originally going to put a gazebo and some landscaping in there. That was quite a few years ago, and they never did do it.
Maybe we need another clause in there that says that the landlord can terminate the agreement with 30 days or 90 days notice. Because right now, it goes on until the people sell their house.
I would recommend the 90 days, especially if somebody's got a
They put a
garden.
garden there, that'd be
Right.
terrible. To cut them
Yeah.
off about the time things get ripe.
And we may also want to state that it doesn't say it, but they have the responsibility to
Mow and maintain,
yeah,
Yeah.
shovel snow.
warranty.
Yeah.
Well, it does say that it's subject to zoning and city ordinances, and so that would certainly cover length of grass and I think we could say that it would include removing of snow since they have the lease of the property.
According to this agreement, the agreement's only for 1 year.
Yeah, so I think that's renew it every year.
Per lease agreement. The lease fee is set at $5 per year.
Paid in 12 equal installments.
Cash only.
Well,
One
it's
thing
up,
we have to
that's
mow,
up.
right? One less thing they have to mow, so I see.
Well, it's just a blank, isn't it? Tenants agree to pay the landlord a sum of blank dollars.
Yeah,
the
but
front
the,
page,
the
yeah.
original resolution 97-23.
Oh. Well, I don't know if we would need to change that or not if we're going to charge more. I would say that we shouldn't charge any less than $25 to $50 a year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Is there a suggestion on the floor to change that lease fee amount to 25 or 50?
25.
You want to change the duration to more than 1 year?
I think if you go by a year
Year
or
to
year,
time?
year or
I
two.
think
that's
Okay.
how you can- And then we can send a notice out 90 days before the year is up and say, hey, what are your plans for it?
Now that I'm thinking back on this, this rental agreement came from what Polk County was doing on the land that it got through tax sales, which would be usually these small residential parcels. And they would rent them out as garden plots, which is where the language came from.
Okay.
And, so, it's a reasonable approach annually, leasing it for $25. So,
Sounds like a motion to me. A motion?
there apparently, there's two places where you put money in here. The tenant agrees to pay the landlord $25 due and payable date of execution. The tenant agrees to indemnify from liability. And it will also, the tenant shall provide the landlord proof of liability insurance in the sum of, if they're leasing it and it's under their homeowner's liability insurance, that's usually about $500,000 now.
Yep.
So this would come due every July 1st then? So see, they'd be in the middle of a crop. I'm just wondering if we would make it like a farmer does, kind of have it due in the fall, like this first one a year and a quarter, just for timing purposes.
Yeah, on farms, isn't it, the tenancy go to like the end of February or something like that?
March 1st, I think, is when they actually take,
The new tenancy.
but they have to be notified, I think, if they're not going to be retained as the tenant by someplace in the fall, October, November, I believe.
March 1st.
The duration of this agreement shall be 1 year and start on the date of execution and end the following February or March 1st.
March 1st easier because you can have
Yeah.
28
28
or
or
29.
29.
And shall end the March 1st of the following year.
Anything else?
I'll second Steve's
Just cross
amendment.
off the 1 year and, so it says, the duration of this agreement shall start on the date of execution and end March 1st of the following year. The agreement, but may be extended annually by written agreement of the parties.
Okay.
May be extended annually upon payment of fees and by written agreement of the parties. So that it's understood that it's not $25 one and that we get it extended forever.
Perfect. So the motion that we made Steve put out there is everything looks good aside. We're changing the fee from $5 to $25, and we are also starting the agreement March 2nd, ending March 1st. Correct?
Yep, $500,000 for liability insurance, $25 due and payable, and we have Don Stansel. I doubt if he wants to sign this one. And then we'd have to type in a new notary statement.
Perfect.
And with those changes, I move the contract for leasing of 116 Metcalf Street to who?
Ryan and Cammy McDonough.
To Ryan,
Brian,
Brian,
Brian with a B.
and Cammy McDonough. Huh?
Cameron.
Cammy.
Like
Kami.
Cameron.
She with an I?
Yeah.
So that was a motion made by Steve,
Second.
second by Megan. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll go to roll call. Steve,
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Megan.
Yep.
Doug.
Yes.
Passes. All right. Item 6J, discussion and action on late payment fees on delinquent water bills. How many do we have? Deb,
A lot.
a lot.
In April, we lost out on $760. May was $580. In June, it was $740.
So total, we're at 2080 for total and loss penalties.
Yeah.
Are these habitual offenders or?
Most of them.
Are these penalties that were not paid, or is this water bills that were not paid? The penalty is the $20 you add on.
The $20 that we add on.
So it's just the $20 that we add on. So there, if I divide by, there were 38 people in April and 26 houses in May and 37 houses in June. Some of those may be the same houses, some may not be.
Most of the time, they're the same houses.
How in the past, it
What-
not being COVID, how are these penalties treated? Do they just keep adding on to the water bill year after year?
Well, no,
They're
they
monthly.
pay them or their water shut off.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what the council did is they said they're not collecting penalties.
Right.
So, yes, this is $2,000 that we would have collected, but we said we're not going to collect. So now it's time to take the resolution, if we are at that point, and say, as of the next water bill, the resolution is rescinded as of a certain date. And if they haven't paid their water for 3 months, then they will get a $20 penalty added onto it. And if they don't pay it within 15 days after that, the water shut off. And the resolution says that anybody who takes advantage of that had to come in and make arrangements on how they would be repaying.
Right.
Well, they wanted to come in and say, yeah, I can pay $50 a month or $30 a month, then that would be a repayment plan for the unpaid amount. Has anybody done that, Deb?
We ended up shutting them off because they never paid. They never made the arrangements.
And that's what
This last month.
that's what the resolution allowed?
Yeah.
Because they didn't come in and make an arrangement, then we went out and shut them off because that's what the resolution said.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
do we want to lift that resolution? Meaning, we don't have that anymore, you can't come in and make a payment arrangement, it is what it is, go back to the way things are normally? Or do we want to keep that, if COVID's ramping back up, if people are gonna lose their jobs again, I don't know. So, it's up to you guys.
How many people have you had come in and make payment arrangements?
We had a couple.
Okay.
But
And
most of them ended up paying by the end of the month. We didn't
Comparing
have
these numbers to prior months, was there any difference? Are we
Not a
about the
whole
same
lot.
as we would have been in January and February?
We've had about 10 more than we normally do. We usually run around 25 people that get late fees. Sometimes
So-
more, sometimes less, depending on the month.
so right now, if somebody's off work and they can't pay their water bill, and they come in and say, well, I'm off work, I can only afford $10 a month. And they use $80 a month worth of water. Then we would say, fine, pay the $10. Next month, instead of owing $80, they owe 160 minus 10. And the next month, they would owe, what was it?
240 minus 20.
And it just keeps going up, but if they can only afford the $10, then that's all they have to pay. And the thought was, when we end this, then they need to resolve their bill, or adjust the payment plan, because we've taken, in the past, we've allowed people a couple months to pay a big bill. So is that the way it's being administered, or does nobody really know, or what?
Right now, we're not charging any late fees. If they come in and make arrangements, we allow them to continue to pay. Most of them come in and by the end of the month of pay.
Okay.
Usually by then they have their money, and we have a couple that continued on, but then either didn't pay their payment of any kind, or just didn't make an arrangement.
And then we shut their water off.
And
Right.
yeah, we ended up shutting water off on 2 of them.
How does the council wish to proceed?
Well, are most of the people back to work?
I don't. I was
I'm
gonna say,
never off, so
exactly. So I feel like I'm a
My
little
wife's
out
back.
of touch on that.
that's all I can think of. And I don't know, they've been talking about another wave coming through, but who knows?
Well, I think most businesses are open. A lot of people may be working from home. But if you have a job in a store, most stores are open. Some require masks, but I would say that if we get to a point where it gets worse and there are more people out of work, then we have a resolution that we can look at as a template and re-implement. So if we rescind that resolution, do we want to put anything in its place, which would, do we have any water bills that are really huge? Or is it just that people just about a month's worth of water?
Most of them are just about a month's worth of the water. The,
Doesn't sound like we need to make any special arrangements then.
there was a couple that got fairly big, but they've gotten caught up in the last month.
So our intent was to help people by not penalizing, not putting a penalty on. I think we've succeeded in that venture. They still owe their water bill.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're only the normal amount behind a month or so, I think it served its purpose and we can look down the road and see where we are.
So I hear that Steve has another motion to rescind the current resolution.
Can we do that with what it has, the way it has been put on the agenda?
It says discussion
And
and
action.
action.
Okay, I move that, we were set, what's the resolution number, Deb? Well, you can fill it in the minutes. I move we rescind resolution number,
Yeah.
So you guys mask up here.
effective, let's just do it, effective the end of the month.
July 31st.
So they'd have one more free month then with the billing being middle,
Well,
no penalty.
the bill that we send out August 1st will have penalties applied.
Okay.
If they aren't paid by August 15th. The bill that we already sent out will not have penalties applied
Okay.
because they would be applied next week.
Perfect. So the motion is to rescind the resolution that was put in place a couple months ago to waive late penalties. And that would go into effect July 31st for the August, the July water bill that you get in August. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Doug. Roll call. Alex?
Yes.
Megan?
Yep.
Doug?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes. The piece of paper that we had in our agenda that lists wage and penalties lost, and it lists Deb, Dee, Crystal, Anna, and
Fiona.
Fiona. It's just, I don't understand it.
These are the hours that we paid for us to be off when one of us isn't here.
Okay, so this is money paid by the city, even though the work was not done?
Well, we weren't here yet.
Okay. So it's not that the employees lost wages, it's the city lost productivity.
Correct.
Okay. I understand it now, thank you.
Moving on to item 7A, COVID-19.
And that's why I did this, so you guys can kind of see
What's going on?
what's going on, where we, you know, where we were kind of losing money.
So, we should be back into the office. We're open 100% now in City Hall, correct?
Yes.
So that Deb and Dee have been taken care of. The library is probably where we're having that issue, which we probably need to talk to the library board and see what their plans are to open everything back up.
I listened to their last meeting, and they were just kind of waiting to see what other libraries are doing. They started out with Mondays, and then they added Thursdays in opening. Now they've just added the Wednesday to open by appointments. So they're gradually opening.
Okay.
The city appoints a library board. The library board has total responsibility. The city has none. We give them a certain amount of money. If they want to close the library and spend all the money,
They can do that if they wish.
they can do that as long as it's done within the law.
Okay.
So we have to keep hands off. What I would like to see from the library board is in their minutes or their report to the council, they include the time and place of the next meeting.
Okay.
Any other discussion for 7A COVID-19?
Deb, would you define penalties lost, those bottom four lines? Is that that the total of the dollars up above? You
Yeah,
got hours, this is dollars then instead of hours.
right.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't total hours or dollars for wages.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
just,
Thanks.
Any other discussion? Moving on to item 7B, complaints. We have a whole stack this time. All right, the first one, 320 Maxwell Street. Looks like there's rats coming over to her yard.
Property is that?
Three, not where we used to live.
Yeah,
The corner is 320, and then the first
Okay.
social south is 320.
okay, okay.
Vines and
Straight across
Reeds.
from the school.
Uh,
So the drive,
With the big camper sitting there.
No,
Three.
that's McVeigh's.
that's to the north. If you go through
Yeah,
the half
So
moon
go
drive,
south two
South too,
houses.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Looks like there's also a complaint sent to Story County. And you said you attached that.
yes,
Yeah,
I did, didn't I?
Right here. Have you been by there lately? No?
I haven't.
Okay. I'll drive by on my way.
it's,
Is it bad?
now that I know which house it is.
The back is bad. We've got pictures of that.
Should be condemned or should not be condemned?
I don't know about condemned, but
It needs-
it's
needs
pretty
some work.
bad.
That's some work.
Okay. Okay. Oh, we got another one, a Great Pyrenees running around, acting dangerous, lunging and threatening people. Looks like it's been getting out several times and it has bit someone already. Story County Animal Control came and got the dog.
What action are we taking on 312 Maxwell Street? How it must have drifted off.
What action do we want to take?
was a letter sent to the owners.
Did you send the letter? Or did Story County send that letter? I'm reading this and it,
Well, even if
Like-
Story County sent the letter, that doesn't do us any good. We cannot take legal action
unless,
unless we send the letter.
Okay.
I would recommend Deb send a letter to the owner of 312 Maxwell Street that they need to clean up or else we'll have to get the attorney involved.
I do that at least once a year.
We'll make
So
sure that
what you said is that we sent them a letter last year?
Yep.
And so this will be the first letter this year?
Yes.
Instead of being a friendly letter, we're gonna send a nasty letter saying you have 10 days to clean it up or it will be turned over to the attorney. Is that what the council wants?
Well, it doesn't reset every year, does it? Or do they get their one free one
Well,
with a meeting?
essentially it does.
It does, okay.
You've got to give notice. And apparently they cleaned up last year because we didn't do any follow-up.
Okay,
So the assumption is they cleaned up. If we were to take it to court saying, well, it was dirty last year, we sent them a letter and it's dirty again, the judge is gonna ask, well, did they clean it up? And since we don't know whether they did or didn't, it's gonna be, the judge's gonna assume that they did, and so it's a brand new violation.
Okay,
That's why it is so important to follow through and don't let them slip.
Perfect.
If you remember Stan Russell, the city got that cleaned up by putting things on a calendar, making sure they hit all of the deadlines, and finally got the authority to go in there and clean it up.
What's our letter say when we send that out? Does it give them a specific timeline that needs to be cleaned up by?
Usually I give them so many days,
Okay.
or a date.
Okay.
Usually the council tells me what date.
Can we do 30 days and circle back around on next meeting?
I don't think there's anything there that needs 30 days worth of cleanup.
Okay.
Give them 1 week, 10 days, somewhere in there, and if they don't clean it up, we turn it over to the attorney. The attorney's going to send a letter saying that it's a nuisance, that they need to clean it up, and they need to do it within a certain number of days. Well, by now we're up to 30 days.
Right.
And if they fail to do it, then we go to court, and we may get the authority to go in and just remove it all ourselves, spend a few $1,000s and get it cleaned up, and put the cost of it on the property.
Perfect.
But then we don't get that back until
Taxes are paid.
the taxes are paid, and if they move out, to lien, and sometimes it gets paid, sometimes it doesn't. The city may never see the money, but it's cleaned up.
Right.
Is somebody living there?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And it sounds like, from the description on the complaint, that there are also issues about the condition of the house. If there are broken windows, the ordinance does not, if windows are broken out, that's a violation. And so we need to make sure that we get everything in there when we send the letter out.
Perfect. Does that sound good to everybody?
yep, on that one.
Okay. Moving on to the next one. This one's that Great Pyrenees running loose that has bit someone, threatening, lunging, dangerous. We have called animal control. They came and got the dog. It was given back to the owners. They said they were giving it to a shelter. The attorney is involved at this point.
This is why I ask about, do they pay the bill up there? Because I really think it should go through the owner.
Yeah, because at this point, how many times
Well,
has that dog been up to?
since Story County came down and got the dog and took it up there, I have no doubt that Story County is charging for their fees.
But are we paying for the trip to come down and get it on our fees, city fees?
That should certainly be clarified. I would expect it that it's their fee, and so that's paid up there, as part of
Reclaiming the dog.
reclaiming the dog.
This is going to be one.
Do you know for certain, Deb?
But
Were there any charges to the city when Story County,
I don't know that.
you with the call tomorrow and see?
Is this a D thing? Or is this both of you?
We both take care of that one.
Okay. On the Pyrenees, the question is, when they came down and picked it up, did they charge us for the trip to pick it up?
I don't know.
We haven't received that
And-
bill yet.
Or did they charge the owner when the owner went up to get the dog?
Oh, I can ask tomorrow.
Yes, that would be appreciated. You can email the council
And
with
with
the
this,
answer.
with this one, there was letters sent out, to the owner. I think there were several issues that came about with that too. So, if you see this dog on the loose, this is one that is kind of a high priority for the city.
This
So-
dog shouldn't be allowed in city limits
No.
after it bit somebody, correct?
Correct.
It's,
Did it actually bite somebody?
628.
The bit Deb knows.
I'm assuming she wasn't walking through their yard or.
No, it was in her yard.
Yeah, it just says loose again reported it biting someone. And I didn't know if that was a substantiated report or an unsubstantiated report.
There is no police report filed, if I remember correctly.
There was a police report. I haven't seen it yet. They haven't sent it to me.
Okay.
I don't know if the police report was part of, has the dog bite in it, or if that was just something else.
Okay.
If we have a police report that the dog bit somebody, then we need to have that on the council so it's declared a dangerous animal and excluded from the city.
I'm trying to get the police report now.
Good.
Perfect. Any more discussion of the dog?
nope.
Okay. Another one, we have an anonymous one about fireworks. I don't know, do we get these every year?
Where's that?
It's like
It was in the,
It's the,
I set it on top.
the last set.
They were ones I got today.
This is what I'm gonna talk about this one again, even though I already did. It's hard to put a city ordinance in place about fireworks when there are higher priorities for the sheriff's department, especially, especially when it is the,
Thank you.
how do I put this? It should, my opinion is that the county's not gonna do anything about fireworks. Lighting them
Last
up.
time this came about, I think the sheriff was, they patrol several towns.
For sure.
So learning every town's ordinance is very difficult for them and it's hard to stay on top of it. By following the state one, it makes it easier on them to.
Actually do something about it.
Right.
Yeah.
The fact that it's unsigned also lacks
For sure.
credibility.
The state legislature it allowed the fireworks. And they made it a misdemeanor if they are abused outside of the limits set by state law. If it's a misdemeanor, then it is up to the sheriff to take care of that. And so people should be encouraged to call the sheriff, to complain to the sheriff. And if the sheriff can't take care of it, if they can't live up to their contract obligations, then that's when we as a council need to talk to the sheriff. I understand that the sheriff's office is busy, that they have lots of calls and so forth, but this is the only option that we have is
Right.
to
And I think if
make sure the sheriff knows about
when
it.
you look at this, they were, had complained that they were going at 1 a.m. If that is happening, like Steve said, call the sheriff's office.
Right.
Have them come out.
I would call the sheriff's office at 11:01.
I had a lot of complaints that I had both the 3rd and the 4th. we seem to be also the hot spot in town. We had several homes that were letting them off, and it is a lot when you're so close together.
Yeah.
And to have 4 different houses going at once was a bit much. But every time I got a phone call or a text or so, I told them, call the sheriff.
Yeah.
The more complaints that the sheriff gets, if there are, from what I was told, if there are numerous complaints on the same house or the same address, they will respond.
For sure.
So that was what I said. I know one of the complaints though I felt kind of was justified. They were actually letting them off, as we discussed earlier, in the city street, and that I do not believe should ever be allowed.
Correct. Right.
City parks, city streets, just shouldn't be allowed.
Back in the days when I was mayor, as mayor, I chased people out of the street and back onto private property.
Mhm.
I'm not mayor anymore.
Right,
I certainly can do that.
yeah,
I don't know if you want to do it.
Yeah, well,
You know, I went up and was as nice as I could possibly be, and you know, it's not terribly nice, but and said, you know, the state law says you have to be on your property,
right,
not in the street. If you don't move off the street, I'm gonna call 911 and have the sheriff come down. And they move onto their own property, fire them off, and it still lands in the street, but
right.
and then he leaves and then I bring him back on the street.
or lands on their neighbor's property, and now the neighbor's pissed at me because I chased them out of the street, so.
It's a no-win situation.
Yeah.
Yep. Any more on that complaint?
Nope.
All right, we got a number.
Should we send out, I think if you look back on the city Facebook posting, there's some, there's a image that was posted in the past about June 1st every year that reminds everybody that, what the rules are, because
I think that would be a really good idea.
We can do that.
Closer, even mid-June, closer to the 4th of July, making sure that,
We should probably do that
the
on,
reason I did it June 1st is because that's when it's legal.
That's when you can start shooting.
okay, gotcha.
so June 1st and then probably
Yeah,
December 1st, because I think
That
that's
doesn't
when
make
the
a
fireworks go back
celebration
until.
There's another
yeah,
thing.
we've never had a problem with
No,
fireworks in the winter, but.
Okay.
And so putting the notice out there, is that begging people to shoot them off? I don't know.
I've still got a sack full, so I might do it December.
There you go. All right.
We could probably, the notice that I put out there, I think had a date on it, but I think we can probably clean the date off. Just leave June 1st and take the year off. And
Yeah.
Just repost it
Good
every year.
reminder, that'd be,
Mhm.
Yep.
Because I think it even suggested in it that if there is a violation, to call the sheriff.
Mhm.
And these ones are ones that came in today too, so I'm assuming we haven't taken any action on these as well. 521 6th Street, looks like the yard is out of hand.
We did send a letter to that one last week.
You did. So a letter has been sent to 521 6th Street.
I went by there today and it looks like they've half weeded it.
Okay.
And if they are throwing food waste out in the yard, that's also a violation of city code. You can't throw garbage in your yard. So that would be a separate item to notice or to send notice on.
Can we send notice if we haven't seen it? And if there's no pictures attached to this
Yeah.
Well, what we should do is go out
and look?
and look.
Okay.
If there are melon rinds or something out there, then yes, there's food waste.
Now,
Perfect.
how does that work with compost? Are we not supposed to compost in our, do we have an ordinance against composting? Or can it, as long as it's contained?
if you have a compost container, then it's not thrown out in the yard.
Okay,
And you don't put the compost on the plants until it's
broke down.
broke down.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you go and look in their yard and you see chicken
loose
chicken
stuff.
bones and melon rinds, then obviously it is garbage and it would violate the city code.
All right. 700 Main Street.
Mhm.
This person says they're sick of looking at this house because of the weeds and grass need cleaned up. And they're dumping trash and vehicles in a bus. They're seeing a lot of rabbits, cats coming out of this yard.
This tank release,
This is,
Sandy's.
yeah, north of, Mary Tyler's house.
Yeah, Tyler's.
Anna Tyler's.
There you go.
Keep going another block. Right there in the corner.
another Fiona.
I will say, as I realize that there's complaint after complaint about the cat. I mean, the town kind of has a cat issue.
No problem, yeah.
And there's quite a few people that I know in town that feed the cats, so that doesn't really help the issue of cats.
For sure.
And rabbits, I mean, they're wild. I don't think there's a lot we can do about the rabbits coming in and out of somebody's yard. I get the grass and the weeds that falls under an ordinance, so that shouldn't be a problem to send a letter on those. But the rabbits and cats, I don't know what we can really accomplish.
I'm trying to figure out how many vehicles they have. Don't they just have 2 or 3 vehicles plus a bus, or 2 vehicles plus a bus?
They have 2 vehicles plus a bus and a motorcycle, 2 motorcycles.
2 motorcycles?
Mhm.
Do they all run?
Yes,
Yes.
they are all used.
Well,
The bus is being converted into a tiny home, I can tell you that. So they can live off the grid someday.
So they're working on it.
Within a year, it will be complete.
Are they storing it there, do you know?
The bus?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
If
going
it-
to.
if it
Oh,
runs,
no,
if it runs,
no,
it's on
it-
wheels,
within a year, it'll be,
then it's just a motorhome.
So the only issue that is on this one is weeds and grass and possible dumping of trash.
mhm.
Was a letter sent out for this one?
No, we just got this one.
It's a recommendation from council to send a letter to the owner.
Yep.
For the grass ordinance and dumping of trash. Although that's another one that we don't have pictures for, but.
What's this one? This is the one.
Did you drive by that today when you were doing your rounds?
No, I didn't do that one.
Yeah, cats is a recurring theme.
Yeah.
And the solution is not the animal control, because
Okay.
you've got to catch them, take them up there, and then they keep them for 7 days. They are not a euthanizing place. So
There was.
they
What did they
hit
do?
they hit capacity and then they can't take anymore.
Okay.
Someone reached out to me on Facebook, I believe, that Polk County is doing something. I realize we're not in Polk County, but I don't know if there's any place around here that does that. That actually catch the cats, spay and neuter, and then release them back. Or send them to a shelter. So that might be something we look into in the future.
I think Story County, once they get them, they pay a
I
new
think they
remote.
did too. Yeah.
I talked to Story County because somebody called me about the same Polk County
Yeah.
thing. And they're looking into maybe starting a program similar to that. But with this COVID stuff, it happened about the time that they were starting to make plans, and so
For sure.
they haven't gotten any further. But they're still going to look into it.
Perfect. 618 Metcalf, I think we were just talking about that, but it looks like a junkyard from the back. I believe they have a fence, don't they?
All the way around it, and
Yep.
the only way you can see over it is with one of these selfie sticks, and you hold it up.
Or stand on a bucket.
Yeah. I was gonna say, cause didn't we actually have pictures on this one?
I think so. I think
This
they're-
is the same address that we got pictures emailed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a pretty tall fence just standing next to it.
It's
But,
a 6-foot fence.
okay.
So in order for you to see on the inside of that, you have to trespass?
Well, it's not trespassing.
Stand in the alley.
Stand in the
Stand in
alley
there you go.
on a bucket, yeah.
Or with a selfie stick.
Or a selfie stick, yep.
Are there any junk
Anybody have a
drones?
drones?
No, I think I saw somebody with one the other night. Kind of freaked me out.
What action does the city want to take on this
In my
one?
yard.
I think it would be beneficial to send a,
We had a building inspector take a look at the property a year ago, 2 years ago. How long ago was it, Deb?
Almost 2 years ago when I went to trial.
And what did they say about all of the things inside the fence at that time?
We didn't go after the ones at that time they didn't have as much junk inside the fence. But they had some trailers that they had to side and put shingles on, things like that.
And put all their junk inside the trailers.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there's loose junk again.
By the pictures that Cindy took or I sent out, looks like there's a bunch of junk there, Jim. It's not on the outside of the fence because I drove past there today when
I
I
was
went
gonna say, I
past.
walk past there every day and I haven't noticed.
have you smelled oil?
No. I'm not like actually when I walk by either.
Yeah.
And they don't have as many vehicles outside as they
They
used to.
definitely do not.
But
They
they
have
could
a
be all
few more
inside
than
the
they
fence.
did. They were down to just like 2 on the outside. They have a couple more now. But I don't know how many people live there.
I would recommend sending a letter again with our ordinances. Have we sent, I doubt we've sent one out this year? Or
Not
did we
to
send
them.
one? No? Okay. With our ordinance, making sure we get things cleaned up, especially before, sellers and things like that.
Well, are we going to have pictures of the junk? When we send a letter out, what are you envisioning as the letter that we send out?
It is a letter that lists our city ordinances, that,
Because
just as a reminder, not necessarily one that says,
the
you know, fix
the
this right.
complaint says it looks like a junkyard.
Right.
But council people that have walked around it say, no, they
Right.
can't see anything.
I'm pretty short. I
Yeah.
couldn't see over a 6-foot fence to go on too.
So in order to ask them to clean up junk, we have to have evidence of junk.
Okay.
So Tony's gonna have to go out there and take some pictures over the fence.
Perfect.
Okay.
And then based upon the
Yeah.
pictures that he takes, we're gonna have to tell him specifically,
What needs to change?
yeah.
Perfect. All right.
Working on vehicles day and night, hauling motors and putting in vehicles,
Walking Street.
blocking street while doing it, smell of oil. They cannot do work on vehicles in the street. And so if they are working on vehicles in the right of way, then they need to stop that. And they have a garage that they could work in or within their own yard.
Sure.
So,
But that would be something else that we'd also have to get validation of, right? Of them working on cars in the street.
if we state that we have a complaint that that is happening, we can certainly tell them that that would be a violation of the ordinance and they should not do it. And if we, if it occurs, then they would be in violation of the ordinance.
We will keep that in mind once we figure out what to send out. Anything else for complaints? Moving on to council reports. We will start with you, Steve. What do you got?
I'm glad that the farmer's market moved down into the park because it was blocking Second Street, and that is a farm to market road and should never be blocked. So at least now traffic can get through there. But now that also then brings up, what are we gonna do on Old Settlers?
I have been told that they are planning on moving back up to Trotter Boulevard for that Sunday.
And they would have to be completely off Second.
Which one's second?
The bank,
Oh,
north of the bank.
okay.
We should not be blocking Second Street at all, particularly during Old Settlers.
Right, because the horse trailer
a lot
is,
of
and
people.
a lot of people come in and out of there,
Yes,
getting out from the rodeo.
yes.
Do we have that much on Sunday going on down in the park? They
Church service
couldn't-
is about it. Most of,
Church service and the raffle ends about 1:30. But the farmer's market wants to be set up at 2, and they're usually, or 1 o'clock.
One, I think.
they open at 1.
They open at 1.
Yeah,
and-
and they start setting up early, because I've been
Yeah,
at work
they're noon.
before.
Yeah. Now, there may be, the carnival rides may be moving out, that morning. And so there may be space down there. And a lot of the food vendors pack up and leave. However, Sheely's has been doing the farmer's market.
Mhm.
So if they are down in the park, Sheely's wouldn't have to move.
They just stay, yeah.
They'd
Right.
just stay.
So they are open to suggestions as well.
I,
Trotter, they're saying they probably won't fit. Now,
Yeah.
so.
I was gonna say, I thought last weekend seemed really great with them in the park.
Yeah.
I think that worked out really well. I would like to see them remain there. I mean, I don't want to impose on Old Settlers, or I know softball, but I don't know if softball goes on Sunday during Old Settlers. I know it's Saturday.
They're trying to put that in conjunction with softball anyway on Sundays.
Okay.
So if people want to go down there,
Yeah.
they can.
So as long as they're not, you know.
Do you know how many vendors Old Settlers is looking to have?
Food vendors? Or
Just
Midway?
Not Midway, but
No,
all the,
yeah.
sometimes there's clothing ones and,
Yeah, that's part of
Yeah.
Midway.
oh, that is,
No.
Okay.
Haven't had any sign-ups yet. We usually don't get people signing up until starting about now, I suppose.
Okay. I think
But
the other problem that
what we could do is make sure that that area under the trees, south of where the beer garden is all open and available.
could we put them in that lot that is south of, what is that road? The road that's south of the Horseshoe
Broad.
Broad. In that open lot that's south of Broad, could we put them there? I don't think it, during Old Settlers, I don't believe a whole lot of people.
Next to the dog park and
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Not a whole lot of people.
all the way up to where the volleyball is. Yeah, I don't know how much. Usually that's parking area, and the parking that is being used there is for the horseshoe pitching, and it kind of depends.
But the one south of Broad.
Oh,
the open
south of
soccer
Broad?
field. Yeah, the soccer field. Yeah.
You just, it'd be out in the sun again, but yeah, it would be available. But that whole area, south of the beer garden to the ditch, and south of, where the, church stand is to the ditch. That whole area would be fairly open and have guidelines in it, but
Okay.
that's not necessarily an attraction.
Well, in past years, church service time, 10:30, there are a few of the carnival people getting ready to leave, and nothing else has been there. They've all been pulled out by that time.
They were also thinking that the soccer field south of Broad Street too, it sounds like as well. So that was a backup plan as well. So the shade doesn't really bother them, it sounds like, because most people are gonna have their tents.
Canopies, yeah.
So I think that's a good solution. That way we don't impede on Old Settlers.
Yeah.
What else you got for us, Steve?
Yeah, let's see. I had some things in an email I sent in, I just need to find it. You saw the Old Settlers alcohol permit earlier in the agenda. We have a fence around the beer garden because both city ordinance and state code require that liquor be served on the premises of the permit. And there's liquor sales at the farmer's market.
Yep.
And they're wandering all over the place.
Because their permit is, one, a Class C permit for commercial use. Yours is a Class B permit. And their permit is from what we approved was from 2nd Street to Broad Street.
And so they can't do it in the park. Because
That would make-
it's not their premise.
And it's not,
Or
You still-
second to Broad
but you
anymore.
still have 2nd to Broad, right? From 2nd
Okay.
to Broad Street, you're still
It
2nd
was
to
on
Broad.
Trotter Boulevard from Second to Broad.
Right, I believe it was too.
I don't think it had Trotter Boulevard. I can pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
I think it has Trotter
I
Boulevard.
think
Does
it
it?
did too. I remember that.
So can their commercial permit float to wherever they are? That'd be a state alcohol, beer, liquor question.
I was looking it up the other day as well, because I got a complaint about that. And the complaint was that Old Settlers, they have to stay in that fenced-in area. What I got out of it, though, is if on the liquor license said the Maxwell City Park, anybody can roam around Maxwell City Park with a beer in their hand as long as they bought it through that vendor. It doesn't necessarily have to be a,
You mean it for Old Settlers?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
why is that?
I don't think I could take
Because-
my own down there.
No,
The,
you can't take your
Right.
own, no, you have to buy it down there.
a person shall not consume or use alcoholic liquor in any public place except premises covered by the liquor control license.
Correct. So if I'm-
And our liquor control license shows a fenced area, and that's the only place that they can consume it.
that's what I'm saying. If you changed your permit that didn't have that fenced in place and you put in there Maxwell City Park, you could roam the park. You could not go on a public street.
If that happens.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And
Okay.
so that,
Not gonna happen, but
right.
Good idea.
Theoretically.
Yeah, but I'm pretty positive on the back side. If I remember right, on the flip side of her permit, it said Trotter Boulevard from Second to Broad.
I think you're right. Collins.
I would be very, as a council person, I would not approve a permit for Old Settlers where they could just wander around any place in the park. I would vote it down. So I would vote no.
I personally would too, just because you're taking control out of a controlled area, and now there's a lot of teenagers, there's a lot of younger people that are down there, and it could get in the wrong hands, and then you're liable.
Exactly. As an Old Settlers committee that holds the license, we would be responsible
Yep.
for all underage drinking,
Right.
which is why
And
we
that
keep
would
it in a
happen.
fence.
Right.
And why we have a 8-foot tall fence, because we don't want people
Passing them
having
through.
a
Right.
4-foot tall fence passing it off.
Right.
How does this go into effect with the new law the governor signed?
What is,
What's that?
what new
The
law
to-go
the governor's on.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
The
Like
to-go drinks.
To-go drinks.
I don't know anything about it.
I'd have to look it up, but Ken just texted me, he was talking about it.
So the address of premises 1 Trotter Boulevard.
So I just got a message saying that according to the map that she provided to her insurance company, she is still considered Trotter Boulevard where she is placed, but let me double check that, 'cause that doesn't sound.
I don't,
And to be perfectly honest, we haven't had any.
different between Old Settlers and the farmers.
Correct.
I would not vote against free roaming wine if that's what the permit allows for any place in the park during farmers market, because there is a much lower probability of it getting, it's happening during the day, much lower probability of it getting into underage hands.
Right.
If Old Settlers is something completely different, at night, dark, and we have lots of people trying to bring beer in or walk out with it and start walking around and police it because they have to stay inside.
A whole different setting. Yes.
Yep. I would 100% agree with that.
And there were a number of people in town who were against alcohol. Fortunately, they're all dead now. But they were very nice people. And so there may be other people who also aren't enthused about having people running around.
And I did pull up her license just now. Address of premises says between Baldwin Street and Broad Street. That's what the premises says. So, thoughts on that?
She also submitted 2 different ones, then, because I know the one that I read said from Trotter. Mhm. And I'm not trying to stop her wine sales. She can sell all the wine she wants in this town. I just want to make sure that
We're all in compliance.
we are in compliance and not liable if she's selling in the park and somebody should get hurt in the city park.
For sure. I can circle back around with that once I get the map. I'll forward it to everyone.
John, I'm curious to know how the new,
To go.
the
Yeah,
law,
because
how's
I
that
do
gonna work?
remember that she passed that because of the whole COVID thing and the bars were losing money, so,
Yeah, they made it temporary and then she signed it into permanent law.
Yeah.
right,
She had to resubmit it because of COVID, so she's gonna send the map over to me
okay,
as well, so
okay.
if that makes sense now.
Yep,
Perfect. Good. Steve, what else you got?
That's it. Oh,
Alex?
no, I did
no.
have one more thing.
Yes.
The city requires fences to be put on property lines.
Okay.
And when you put it on a property line, you put the finish side out and, where the posts are in,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I had a complaint that, there is a fence that was built the other way around
Right.
with the finish side in. And I can't remember what its address is now, but, if it was built that way, the city needs to notify them to change it.
I believe, I walk by there every morning, and I believe that they have started to do that because there are, panels down
Okay.
in that fence.
And I did send a letter.
Okay,
Great.
yeah.
And then the question that was asked is, if you put the fence on the property line, and the nice side is to the outside, can your neighbor run their lawnmower along it and ding it up and scratch it? And who maintains the outside of the fence?
It's on the property line.
If it's
I
on
would
the
say
property line,
other
it'd be the
neighbor.
person
The
on
neighbor would be
adjacent,
responsible.
yes.
Okay, so what happens if they damage the fence by knocking a board off?
Then I think they would be held liable to replace that.
That I'm not sure,
And-
But-
see, now I think the opposite.
Do you?
I do. I think it's whoever put up the fence,
But
mean, that's
might
the-
have to put a window in it. If your
that-
lawnmower trucks a rock through the window,
right?
I mean, it's the same concept, isn't it?
Neighbor dispute.
Yeah, that would be,
Yeah.
because I mean, I can't control if there's a rock in my yard,
require
you
the
know,
fence
that's what
to
I'm
be put
saying.
on the property line.
Yep.
But I was not able to answer the question. I mean, this person said they used to go out and paint the outside of the fence. I said, well, you were on your neighbor's property when you did that, right? Yeah,
Right.
well, that's trespass.
Mhm.
Well, how am I supposed to maintain it? You're not. It's the neighbor who has to maintain it, because you can't trespass. And they said, well, the neighbor piled a bunch of dirt up against the bottom part of the fence, which made it rot out. Okay. Who's responsible for that repair? Because the neighbor's action caused the bottom of the fence to rot out. And I have absolutely no idea.
Judge Judy.
And so, I guess I'm asking permission of the council to write a letter to the city attorney and get some of those questions answered for the council and share it with the person who complained, so that they know and we know. Because we're kind of just guessing. We have two different opinions. And it may just be, gee, let the neighbors fight it out. But there may be a better solution to that than that.
You put a chain link fence up, that way it doesn't break as easy.
Well,
Or you can't
I
put
have great neighbors, I guess, I mean,
they
I
wanted to have
would totally
a
fix that fence
privacy
for them if
fence.
they needed it. and-
So when you do a privacy fence, you've got boards against boards.
And if the person doesn't like the ugly side, you know, they can finish the inside too.
That's true.
The boards on both sides, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not uncommon.
So is it okay if I send a letter to the attorney asking questions?
I'd be fine with that.
I would be fine with it, and curious too.
Yeah.
Now I'm done.
Alex,
The only thing is, maybe on Facebook and the newsletter, remind people, golf carts, UTVs, four-wheelers are not permitted from 5th Street south on Main Street. Just because
Not
you're
allowed
on,
anywhere on 210.
I live on 210, so I only see it on that stretch. I don't know what they're doing on east and west.
can you cross the road? on the
They
same
cross
road?
it.
At 90 degrees.
You can only cross 90 degrees, you cannot travel along the state highway,
I travel on my side too.
Yeah.
On T10.
you cannot travel on the state highway. We can authorize the use of those vehicles on city streets, we cannot authorize it on a state road.
And
I don't know how you want to phrase it, but
But you can if you're checking crops, can't you? If you have a, state permit.
maybe, but there are no crops in the city limits.
Oh,
So-
100%.
True,
I didn't know
There
if
might
someone,
be
if someone
a
was
little
checking
bit,
crops
but
and they were
I don't think you, even in the country on a, state highway,
only on
I
gravel.
think- I think you have to be on, county roads.
Is there a state?
County.
Oh, it's county, okay, I was gonna say, 'cause Nichols doesn't really-
No, there is something about the UTV on a highway for a farmer. Cause I've read it, but I don't know, I'm not sure what it is. I'd have to reread it.
And there may be, like you said, there may be an exception that would allow that, but
Would my large garden be considered?
a farm.
Just kidding.
At one
I don't even
time,
have a golf cart.
the council talked about making a list of projects. I know we got one a while ago. Tony said in his report, we have $35,000 is what the bid was for street repairs.
Yes.
What streets?
well, we had more than 35,000. We told them to wrap it down to only 35,000 because we need about 25,000 to set aside for making sure we get Baldwin done.
Got it. So it involves Baldwin from
What's involved?
That's a
Repairs?
different project.
35? No. That's gonna be about $400,000.
okay, what,
And we're gonna borrow and pay back
Yeah.
over time.
that's what I wanted to know. So what are the 35,000 that we have set aside that we got to bid? That's what I'm asking.
I have not seen the list.
Okay.
We had the list at last meeting, but I forget. I don't have it on me.
But it was too long a list last
Yeah.
time. Had to be pared
Yeah.
down.
Yeah,
well-
I think that is a list that the council should see and review and agree to. Tony's cut it back, and so we're getting maybe about half done what they had originally identified as needing to be done. And Tony worked with the road crew to find the best $35,000,
Most bang for our buck.
most bang for our buck.
Okay.
But I think it's a good idea to look at that so we can answer questions from citizens.
Yep. I get a lot of questions about road repairs.
For sure.
Roads.
Yep. Is that it?
That's it.
Megan?
Nothing.
Doug?
Well, continue on the road thing. If we can't get it done this fall, I don't know if we were serious last month, but I took it seriously. Wait until spring and be first on the list instead of last. And I'm just gonna show you a picture here of how much rock I swept up the last time they did my road, because I picked up more gravel than actually stayed on the road. It was so late in the year when they did it. I think that's a consideration we need to address. If they can't get it done in a timely fashion, they're getting later every year, and I grumble every year, I know that, but I guess I'm good at grumbling. That maybe we try to be first on their list next spring instead of last on their list this summer and have a mess, because everybody ends up with gravel in their yard if it doesn't get sealed down like it should, and it just, it's a mess starting school to be after that time. So that was one question I had, don't know where we're going with that. I appreciate Story County had the radar gun out here. I would hope that, is Wes, are you still alive?
Yes, I'm here,
Do we know any more about getting the signs moved out east? I'm gonna ask you every 3 or 4 months, because it's been about 3 years now, to,
You keep asking me, Doug, and I will check on that. I don't have anything right now, but I will follow up and see
okay,
if the DOT has moved anywhere. Yep.
good, thank you for that.
A stoplight would be even better right there. Just saying.
Stoplight, we had one, I got pictures of it down by Dollar
I
General.
do too, still.
The handicap ramp, where are we on, is that still moving?
That's Wes.
What?
The handicap ramp, I'll need to check on that one as well. I think the next step we had on that one was we were going to get with either you, Steve, or someone and meet on site. Did you guys ever do that?
So you're gonna be here tomorrow? You're gonna be here tomorrow, we can meet on site tomorrow.
Yeah, we could. It wouldn't be the traffic guys, but I think I could probably cover it for them. I think that was the next thing to do when COVID hit, and maybe that got put on the back burner. But I'll check with them about that, and maybe we can just do that tomorrow when I'm out.
Yeah, post office. And at one point we talked about, and I don't know if this is who this is addressed to, we were going to see whether or not it was feasible and practical and make this money to annex Dollar General
Oh, for the tip.
for the tip.
Tip.
So I don't know who or what, but just that was on my list, and I keep putting it on my list.
So we will discuss that. Hopefully we can talk to our attorneys and see what needs to be done for a tip resolution or something for Dollar General.
Before I left for greener pastures, we did have a letter from the bond council that had a bunch of questions that needed to be answered before we would be able to establish a new TIF district. And it has to do with closing out the old TIF district because there's $100,000 sitting there.
Okay.
And whether or not you could move it from one TIF district to the other, probably not.
We got plenty of roads that $100,000 would be.
Well, they all have to be put out there, and I have no doubt that, what I always thought would be worthwhile is to use it for the stub roads in that development that would take the road back to where the developer can start selling homes.
Yep.
As a way to encourage development. But I don't even know if that's legal. So, Deb should have those letters. I should have copies of those letters. I'll look around and then I started answering them, and fortunately was voted out of office. No, I didn't run again. So I can't blame it on the voters. It's all my fault.
And then the last thing I had is the Dr. Sidwell property. Do we know, are we moving forward on that at all, Wes?
Yes, I got an email from Oregon County yesterday on what we need from them is the forms for the easement. Once we get those forms done or the templates received, then we'll get that offer put together and mailed out. But that's what I'm waiting on is the forms for the easement right now. I talked to them yesterday, so they are working on that.
Okay, that's all I had.
Okay. What do I have? The school is wanting to know several things. When they go to redo their parking lots, they're wanting to know if we'd be interested in redoing those roads around the school at that time, since the pavement people are already going to be there. It'd be less of a cost than the normal. So that's something to think about when we get to that.
Which would be after all their construction's done?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
We haven't had an official timeline come in for the roads and all that. There was also discussion if we would consider, evidently the school's been wanting to do this for a while and we're just now hearing about it, but they've been wanting us to consider the possibility of shutting down Metcalf between, what is that?
Third
and fourth.
Fourth tees in.
Yeah.
North side of the football field.
Well, no. Metcalf between, between
Yeah.
third and fourth. The road on the south side of the world and the north side of the football field.
They're thinking that would be safer for the students as well as when there are delivery drop-offs. The the way that the ramp will be set up is that the truck will have to back straight in. And so it would impede the road a little bit while they're dropping lunch, food, drinks, all that off. So it's another thing to consider.
Is that what they're asking?
Yeah. Well, you can still walk through it. It'll just be parking in a driving lane. So the last thing is they are still considering or talking about sharing libraries. So that's something that Corey, the superintendent, is still very interested in. The library, the downside is the library that is being built will be a little smaller than the current one there.
Sure.
The
Still bigger than our public library though.
Correct. So, be on the lookout for that. Probably start discussing that here. Probably won't be till after the building's built, which they're supposed to start construction on the library in, let's say, February.
Would they still be able to do it with the plan that they sent out? Because isn't it more towards like the middle of
Correct.
the middle school
Yep.
portion?
Yep.
They would still be able to have a public entrance because they have to have an outside public entrance.
Correct. Correct. And the way that they would do that is depending on our hours. I don't even know what are our normal hours at the library.
4 to 7.
4 to 7.
So
And I
their
think Monday mornings they're open for a little bit.
so their thought with that is kids are going to be out of school anyway.
Right.
The plan is to have doorways that can be shut down, so you would all have access to
Right.
what would be the new fitness facility, the gym, and then the library, which you may have to go out into the courtyard and then in
Okay.
to get in there.
Okay.
So part of that is also a marketing ploy in the fact that you get more people to come into the school
Right.
district. So
Well, and if there was any way to even have it open a little bit during the school time, you can count all those numbers for the state
Yeah.
funding.
Yeah.
I mean, I was for this back when I was director. I was very on board with doing it.
So they're strongly considering that, really want to pursue that. So, are there any thoughts on that? Any other
Guys, mine's
thoughts?
hard.
That was good. Very good.
I think the council's been in favor of an appropriate consolidation. And so I think that.
I think you'd also get more.
They just have to wait
I think
till we can actually talk with the library board, the council, and the school, and come up with something that everybody supports.
Right.
Now, am I right that if this would have to be put to a vote of the public? Didn't we learn that as we were looking?
Yeah,
I'm fairly certain.
but it could be, the council can put it on the ballot on its own initiative.
Right.
If the library board were to put it on the ballot, they would have to have a certain number of
Signatures.
signatures. Or if the school district, I think the school district could, I don't know if the school district could put on the ballot in their own initiative or not. City could.
I don't think they could. I think we can.
So,
Going back to your first question about the streets. Yes, we could save money because the pavers would already be here. Think about the problems that we had because the school paved Douglas Drive. Somebody had some extra asphalt and they came over and put it on Douglas Drive at Metcalf, which caused a great big puddle. And we had to then put a pipe under the road to drain it. The school has also put asphalt down from Fourth to Douglas so that the street is now level with the sidewalk. There is no curb there. And so putting more asphalt will mean the street's higher than the sidewalk. And putting the asphalt down means that nothing drains to the inlets, the intakes on the west side of the street of Metcalf between Fourth and Douglas.
So for
So
what,
we have all kinds of drainage problems there. Douglas is the alley.
The alley
Okay,
north of the
okay.
kitchen.
Okay,
That got named a street because
okay,
it got paved.
okay.
From my understanding with that, it sounds like when talking to the architect that they're going to be redoing all that, the drainage, sidewalks, everything during the construction process.
Not without city approval.
Correct. Correct. So that's when they're still on the, I don't even know what you call it, the schematic designs of everything right now. So we should have everything ready to go by November to be sent out to bid in December. So
The sidewalks belong to the city. So if they have any plans on replacing sidewalks, that has to be approved by the city. If they're going to do anything from their property out into the street, that has to be approved by the city. I think it's a great idea to do it when they're all together, but we've had problems on Metcalf and adding asphalt over on Douglas or on Maxwell will bring the street up to the edge of the sidewalk, and then we wouldn't have a curb over there either. So we're gonna have to, when we look at it, one of the reasons that we're reconstructing Baldwin, grinding it out and relaying it, is to make sure that we have good drainage. And so it may not be as simple as just putting a Band-Aid over
For sure.
the streets
Yep.
and making it look nice. I think we need to, if there are any proposals, we need to have our engineer review them and make sure that drainage is going to be taken care of and that public safety is taken care of with making sure that there's a distinction between sidewalks and sidewalks and the street.
sure. That's all I got. So if anybody has anything else. Oh. We'll move to item 8, approval of June 1st minutes and approval of current bills as presented.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second?
Moved by Steve, second by Doug. Discussion? Is there anybody not here on the first?
Me.
Okay. So we'll have to do 2 separate action items on that, I would assume.
Separate, yeah,
Because Alex wasn't here.
will we separate A and B?
Yep.
So ready for a vote on A?
Yep. Steve,
Aye.
Megan?
Yep.
Doug?
Yes.
Moving on to item 8B, approval of current bills as presented. Roll call. Alex?
Yes.
Megan?
Yep.
Doug?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Item number 9,
I make a motion.
motion by,
Mr. Adjournment.
motion by Alex,
Busy reading. Second.
second by Megan. Megan?
Yep.
Doug?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Adjourn 8:44 PM.
Deb,
Yes.
would you make note, when you do the minutes, that the next of the time and date of the next meeting as part of the minutes,
I did put them in the last one.
like we used to do, always had that at the end of the agenda.
Yeah.
How big building it should be.
It's there. Next regular meeting will be July sixth, 2020 at
I think
6:30.
it's 30 more calculations.
Yeah.
Was that right?
Yeah, yours
You
might be.
Where do you see that?
10%.
The last page.
Now, on my law,
Of the agenda?
How much
I'm
can you
only
be?
12 or
Oh, on the
15%.
agenda?
He's looking at.
I didn't never have it on the agenda.
Well, we used to have it on the agenda.
I've never had it on the
Your
agenda.
house.
Am I gonna have to pull out some old agendas?
Roof space
Okay.
and roof space.
Okay.
I'll go in
The-
tomorrow.
The,
Like what percentage can you